I found a tape recorder, hidden in the attic, and the voice. On it was mine, begging for help. Hi everyone! Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together, we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. The house remembered me, even if I didn't remember it. I stood on the front porch, key in hand, staring at the peeling paint and the warped boards beneath my feet. 23 years since I'd last been here. 23 years since my parents sold it and moved across the country, taking me with them. Now they were gone, both dead within 6 months of each other, the way long-married couples sometimes go. And the house had returned to me through a labyrinth of legal proceedings I still didn't fully understand. The realtor had been enthusiastic. "Great bones," she'd said, showing me the listing photos. "Needs work, but the location is perfect. You could flip it for a nice profit." But standing here now, feeling the October wind push dead leaves across the porch, I wasn't thinking about profit. I was thinking about the gaps in my memory, the blank spaces where childhood should have been. I unlocked the door. The smell hit me first dust and mildew, and something else, something organic and faintly sweet, like fruit left too long in a bowl. The hallway stretched before me, narrower than I remembered, darker. Afternoon light struggled through grimy windows, casting everything in shades of gray and amber. I stepped inside, and the floorboards creaked a greeting. I'd brought a sleeping bag, some cleaning supplies, a thermos of coffee. The plan was simple. Spend the weekend clearing out the worst of the debris, make an inventory, decide whether to renovate or sell as is. My husband David had offered to come, but I'd refused. Some things, I'd told him, you have to face alone. Now I was regretting that decision. The house was exactly as my parents had left it, or rather, as they'd abandoned it. Furniture covered in sheets, boxes stacked in corners, pictures still hanging on walls, as if they'd planned to return, but never did. I walked through the room slowly, reacquainting myself with spaces I'd known as a child. The living room with its stone fireplace, the kitchen with the cracked linoleum floor, my old bedroom, now empty except for a dresser, and the marks on the wall where posters had once hung. No memories surfaced, just the strange, dreamlike familiarity of déjà vu. My therapist had told me it was normal, this absence of early childhood memories. Trauma, moving, the natural forgetting that comes with time. Most people don't remember much before age 7 or 8, she'd assured me. It's developmentally typical. But my blank space went further than that. I had almost no memories before age 10. Just fragments. My mother's hands braiding my hair, the taste of birthday cake, the sound of rain on windows. Nothing concrete, nothing that felt real. And my parents had never helped fill in those gaps. Whenever I asked about my early childhood, my mother would get a distant look and change the subject. My father would grunt non-committally and retreat to his study. After a while, I stopped asking. Now they were gone, and their secrets had died with them, or so I thought. I started with the main floor, working methodically, sorting items into piles. Keep, donate, trash. Most of it was trash. Old magazines, broken appliances, clothes from decades past. I found my mother's collection of ceramic figurines, my father's books on accounting and tax law. Normal things, boring things. By late afternoon, I was ready to tackle the second floor. The bedrooms were worse, more personal, more abandoned. I found my parents' old bed, still made, the sheets yellowed with age, my father's reading glasses on the nightstand, my mother's jewelry box containing nothing but costume pieces and tangled chains. In the spare room, boxes of Christmas ornaments. In the bathroom, expired medications and cosmetics from the 80s. And at the end of the hall, the door to the attic. I'd saved it for last without consciously deciding to. Something about that door made my skin prickle. It was narrower than the others, painted a different color, dark green, instead of white, and the knob was an antique brass model that didn't match anything else in the house. I turned the knob. Locked. Of course. I spent 20 minutes searching for a key before finding one hanging on a hook in the kitchen pantry, labeled in my mother's handwriting. Attic. Do not use. The prohibition should have stopped me, should have made me reconsider. Instead, it made me more determined. The attic stairs were steep and narrow, more like a ladder than proper steps. They groaned under my weight, and I had to crouch to avoid hitting my head on the slanted ceiling. The space at the top was larger than I expected, running the full length of the house. Bare bulbs hung from wires, coated in dust and dead moths. I found a light switch and flicked it. Nothing happened. I pulled out my phone, activated the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating shapes, cardboard boxes, old furniture, a dressmaker's dummy wearing a moth-eaten coat. The air was thick, hard to breathe, and something rustled in the far corner. Mice, probably, or squirrels that had found their way in through gaps in the roof. I moved carefully, conscious of the old floorboards beneath my feet. The last thing I needed was to fall through the ceiling into a bedroom below. Most of the boxes were predictable: holiday decorations, old tax documents, children's clothes I'd outgrown decades ago. I sorted through them mechanically, finding nothing of interest, until I reached the back corner, behind a broken rocking chair and a stack of moldering magazines. There, wedged between two rafters and covered in a tarp, was a box that didn't match the others. It was metal, not cardboard. Older, locked with a padlock that had rusted nearly through. On the side, written in marker, that had faded but was still legible: Private, S.M., 1998. S.M., Sarah Madsen, my mother's initials. I pulled the box free, surprised by its weight. The padlock crumbled when I twisted it, and the lid opened with a screech of protesting hinges. Inside, a tape recorder. It was old, the kind that used cassette tapes, its plastic casing yellowed with age. There was a tape inside, the spindles visible through the transparent casing. On the label, written in a child's handwriting, "Help me." My mouth went dry. I pressed play. Static hissed from the speaker. Then a voice, small and terrified. "If you're listening to this, please, you have to help me. I don't know how much time I have left. They're coming back, and I'm so scared, and nobody believes me, and you're the only one who can help because you're me, and you have to remember." The voice broke into sobs. My voice, but younger. Much younger. The recording continued, degraded by age and tears. I tried to tell Mom, but she just looks at me like I'm lying, and Dad locks me in my room and says I need to stop making things up, but I'm not making it up. It's real. It happened. They took me to the place and made me forget, but I didn't forget everything. I remember pieces. I remember the room and the lights, and the woman with the mask, and... Static drowned out the words. Then, "Need you to find the key. It's in the blue box in the basement, behind the furnace. You have to find it before they do. Promise me. Promise you'll look. Promise you won't let them make you forget again." The tape ended abruptly. I sat in the darkness of the attic, the recorder in my trembling hands, my child self's desperate plea echoing in my ears. The date on the recorder's digital display read 09/14/1998. I would have been 7 years old. I don't remember going back downstairs. I found myself in the kitchen, sitting at the table, the recorder in front of me. Outside, the sun had set, and the house was filling with shadows. I replayed the tape 3 more times, listening for details I'd missed. But the words were the same. My voice, my terror, my begging for help from someone who didn't exist yet. From myself. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I tried David's number, then stopped before it connected. What would I tell him? That I'd found a recording of my 7-year-old self talking about being kidnapped and brainwashed? He'd think I was having a breakdown. Maybe I was. I forced myself to think rationally. Explanations. There had to be explanations. Maybe it was a game I'd played as a child. Kids had vivid imaginations. Maybe I'd been acting out some story, pretending to be in danger. But the terror in that voice, my voice, was too real. Children couldn't fake that kind of fear. Maybe my parents had recorded me during a nightmare. Maybe I'd had night terrors they never told me about. But the tape had been hidden, locked away, labeled with my mother's initials and a warning. Private, SM, 1998. Why hide a recording of your child's nightmare? Unless it wasn't a nightmare. I stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. The basement. The tape mentioned something in the basement. A blue box behind the furnace. I grabbed a flashlight and headed for the basement door. The basement stairs were even worse than the attic's unfinished wood, no railing, descending into absolute darkness that my flashlight barely penetrated. The smell was overwhelming. Damp earth, rust, chemicals. I reached the bottom and swept the light across the space. Concrete floor, stone walls, exposed pipes running along the ceiling. The furnace squatted in the far corner like a hibernating beast. I approached it carefully, my light illuminating every shadow. Behind the furnace, just as the tape had said, was a metal shelf unit. On the bottom shelf, a blue plastic storage box. I pulled it out, sat on the cold floor, and opened the lid. Inside, papers, dozens of them, some in my child's handwriting, some typed. Some were drawings, crude, disturbing images of rooms with no doors, figures with blank faces, a child alone in darkness, and beneath the drawings, newspaper clippings. The first was dated September 3rd, 1998. Local girl missing. 7-year-old vanishes from backyard. My vision blurred. I forced myself to keep reading. Sarah Madsen, 7, was reported missing Thursday evening by her parents, who claim she disappeared while playing in their backyard. Police have launched a search operation and are asking anyone with information to come forward. My mother's name, my house, but Sarah wasn't me. My name was Emma. Emma Thorne, née Madsen. I grabbed the next clipping. Missing girl found alive. No memory of disappearance. Sarah Madsen has been found safe after a 3-day absence. The girl was discovered wandering near Riverside Park, disoriented and with no memory of where she'd been. Medical examination revealed no signs of abuse. Police are continuing their investigation. My hands were numb. I set down the clipping and picked up another. This one was handwritten, torn from a notebook. Dr. Brennan confirmed the treatment was successful. Subject shows no memory of the event. Recommend continued monitoring for signs of retention. Parents have agreed to relocation protocol if necessary. Dr. Brennan. I knew that name. My mother had mentioned him once, a family doctor who'd treated me as a child. I dug deeper into the box. More documents. Medical records with sections blacked out. A photograph of a building I didn't recognize. And at the very bottom, a key. Small, brass, attached to a tag with an address, 1247 Riverside Drive, Unit 12. I knew that street. It was less than 2 miles from here. I should have waited until morning. Should have called the police, called David, called someone. Instead, I got in my car and drove. Riverside Drive was in an older part of town, lined with abandoned warehouses and buildings scheduled for demolition. Number 1247 was a 3-story brick structure with boarded windows and a chain-link fence. A sign read, "Property of Riverside Medical Center, no trespassing." I parked down the block and approached on foot. The fence had gaps, worn by years of weather and neglect. I slipped through, the key burning in my pocket. The main door was locked, but a side entrance had been forced open sometime in the past. The wood around the lock splintered. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The smell hit immediately. Mold, decay, old chemicals. My flashlight revealed a hallway lined with doors, peeling paint, ceiling tiles hanging loose. Unit 12 was at the end of the corridor. The key turned smoothly, as if the lock had been maintained despite the building's abandonment. Inside, a small room, maybe 10 by 12 feet. No windows. A chair bolted to the floor in the center. Medical equipment against one wall, old, obsolete, but recognizable. Monitoring devices. Restraints. And on the wall, a whiteboard with faded writing still visible. Subject: SM. Age: 7. Treatment: regression therapy, plus chemical supplementation. Objective: memory suppression. Status: successful. I stood frozen, my light moving over the words, the chair, the equipment. They'd brought me here, when I was 7, after I'd disappeared for 3 days, and they'd erased my memory. But why? What had happened during those 3 days that was so terrible it needed to be forgotten? A sound behind me made me spin around. The doorway was empty, but I could hear footsteps now, echoing in the hallway, coming closer. I killed my flashlight and pressed against the wall, my heart hammering. The footsteps stopped outside the door. "Emma!" A woman's voice, soft, familiar. "I know you're here." I said nothing, barely breathing. "You found the tape. I knew you would. I left it for you to find, after all these years. I wanted you to remember." The door creaked open wider. Light spilled in from the hallway. Someone had brought a lantern. A woman stepped inside. She was in her 30s, dark hair, eyes that looked like mine in the mirror. "Who are you?" I whispered. She smiled sadly. "You don't remember me." "Of course you don't. They made sure of that." "Answer me." "My name is Sarah," she said. "Sarah Madsen. I'm your sister." The world tilted. "I don't have a sister." "You did. Once. We were twins, Emma, identical. Until the day we were taken." I shook my head, trying to process this, to make it make sense. "That's impossible. My parents never—" "Your parents spent 17 years pretending I didn't exist." Her voice was bitter. "After we were taken, after those 3 days, something went wrong. The treatment worked on you. You forgot everything. But it didn't work on me. I remembered. All of it." "What happened to us?" Sarah moved closer, her face illuminated by the lantern. In the dim light, the resemblance was unmistakable. "We were part of an experiment," she said quietly. "Dr. Brennan, he wasn't just a family doctor. He was conducting research on memory manipulation, trauma suppression. Our parents volunteered us. They needed money, and he paid them well." My stomach turned. "Why?" "Because he could. Because he wanted to see if he could erase selective memories while leaving others intact. We were 7 years old, Emma. Perfect test subjects. What were they trying to make us forget? Nothing. That's the horror of it. There was nothing to forget. We were normal children. But they needed a traumatic event to test the suppression protocol, so they created one. They took us, kept us in rooms like this, subjected us to stress and fear, then attempted to erase it all." I felt sick. "Why didn't you come forward? Tell someone?" "I tried." Her expression hardened. "But who would believe a 7-year-old? And every time I tried to tell, Dr. Brennan would bring me back here. More treatments, more attempts to make me forget." Eventually, Mom and Dad decided it was easier to pretend I didn't exist. They told everyone I died in an accident, gave you a new identity, moved away. But you're alive. Barely. I've spent the last 23 years in and out of institutions. Every time I tried to find you, they'd have me committed. Said I was delusional, suffering from identity disorder. They had Dr. Brennan's testimony, the medical records. Who was going to believe me? I slid down the wall until I was sitting on the floor. "The tape, that was you. That was both of us." Sarah knelt beside me. "Don't you see? The treatment split us. You got the clean memories, the normal life. I got the trauma, the truth. But we're the same person, Emma. 2 halves of the same whole." "I don't understand." "The trauma was too strong. It couldn't be completely suppressed, so they partitioned it. Put it all in me, gave you everything else. I'm the part of you that remembers, the part they tried to erase." I looked at her, this woman who wore my face, and felt something shift in my mind. Memories that weren't memories, feelings that weren't mine. Or were they? "How did you get out?" I asked. Mom died 6 months ago. The legal hold she'd maintained over me expired. I've been waiting, watching. When Dad died and you inherited the house, I knew it was time. I planted the tape where you'd find it. Left clues. I needed you to remember, to come here, to see the truth. But why? Why not just come to me directly? Would you have believed me? Sarah asked. Or would you have called the police, had me arrested for stalking? You needed to discover it yourself, needed to see the evidence. She was right. If a stranger claiming to be my twin had approached me, I would have run. What do you want from me? I asked. Help me prove what they did. Dr. Brennan is still alive, still practicing, still experimenting on children. We have to stop him. The authorities won't believe us. They didn't before. They won't now. She gripped my hand. But together, with both our testimonies, with the evidence in this place, maybe we have a chance. I looked around the room, at the equipment, the chair, the whiteboard. This place could have been abandoned decades ago. There's no proof it was used recently. But there is! Sarah pulled out a phone, showed me photographs. Other rooms in this building, recent dates stamped in the corners, medical equipment that wasn't obsolete, children's drawings taped to walls. He's still using this place, she said. Still bringing subjects here. We can expose him, but I can't do it alone. I need you. I stared at the photographs, at the evidence of ongoing crimes, and felt something inside me shift. Not memory exactly, more like recognition, as if some locked door in my mind was finally opening. There's something you're not telling me, I said. Sarah's expression flickered. What do you mean? The tape. My voice on the tape, it wasn't from 1998. I heard it. That wasn't a 7-year-old speaking. That was me now, my adult voice. She didn't deny it, just looked away. What's really happening? I demanded. The treatments, she said slowly. They didn't just suppress memory. They fragmented our sense of time. Past, present, future, they all bleed together for me. Have since I was a child. That's not possible. Isn't it? You found a tape that shouldn't exist. You're sitting in a room that was cleaned out years ago, but still has writing on the walls. You're talking to a sister who's legally dead. She met my eyes. What's possible doesn't matter anymore, Emma. Only what's true. Then tell me the truth. All of it. Sarah took a breath. 3 days from now, you're going to record that message. You're going to hide the tape in the attic for your past self to find. You'll do it because I'll ask you to, and you'll agree, because by then, you'll understand. Understand what? That this isn't over. That the experiment never ended. That we're still subjects, even now, even decades later. Dr. Brennan has been monitoring us, watching, waiting to see if the conditioning holds. Ice formed in my veins. What are you saying? I'm saying this was the test. Whether you'd find the tape, whether you'd remember, whether you'd come here, whether we'd finally reunite and break the partition. She gripped my shoulders. Don't you see? We're remembering right now, both of us. The walls are coming down. And suddenly, I did see. Flashes of memory. A room like this one. 2 chairs, 2 children. A woman in a white coat explaining that they were going to play a game about forgetting. Medicine that tasted like cherries. Lights that were too bright. Crying for my mother while my sister held my hand. Or was she my sister? Or was she me? We have to leave, I said, standing abruptly. Now! This is wrong. Whatever's happening, it's wrong. We can't leave yet. Sarah stood with me. We have to document everything. Gather evidence. Make sure... A sound from the hallway cut her off. Footsteps. Multiple people. Someone's here, I whispered. Sarah's face went pale. He found us. Who? Dr. Brennan. He monitors this place. He must have known we'd come. The footsteps grew louder. Voices now, calling orders. Sarah grabbed my hand. There's a back exit, through the storage room. Come on. We ran. The storage room was filled with filing cabinets and abandoned medical equipment. Sarah led me to a small door I hadn't noticed before, nearly hidden behind a shelf. Behind us, the voices grew louder, more urgent. Stop! Both of you, stop right there! We burst through the door into a narrow stairwell. Sarah pulled it shut behind us and wedged a piece of wood under the handle. Up, she said. To the roof. We climbed, our footsteps echoing. Below, someone was pounding on the door, trying to force it open. We reached the roof and stumbled out into night air. The city spread before us, lights twinkling. Behind us, the door crashed open. A man emerged. Elderly, gray-haired, wearing a suit despite the late hour. He held no weapon, made no threatening moves, just stood there, watching us. Sarah, he said calmly. Emma, please, let's talk about this rationally. Dr. Brennan, Sarah said, her voice shaking. He smiled sadly. You've done well, both of you. The integration is proceeding exactly as predicted. Do you feel it? The memories converging? The partition dissolving? You're insane, I said. No, my dear. I'm a scientist, and you're my masterwork. He stepped closer. Do you understand what you are? What I created? You're not twins. You're not even two separate people. You're one consciousness, split into two bodies through a process that shouldn't be possible. That's not true, I said, but my voice wavered. Isn't it? Tell me, Emma, what memories can you access right now that you couldn't yesterday? What does Sarah know that you're suddenly remembering? I looked at Sarah. In the moonlight, our resemblance was perfect. But more than that, I could feel her thoughts, her fear, her determination, as if they were mine, because they were mine. The experiment wasn't about memory suppression, Dr. Brennan continued. It was about consciousness bifurcation, taking one mind and splitting it into two viable entities. You were my first success, and now you're becoming whole again. Why? Sarah demanded. Why do this to us? Because I could. Because the applications are endless. Imagine being able to duplicate consciousness, to live multiple lives simultaneously. You're the prototype, the proof of concept. I felt dizzy, reality shifting beneath me. What happens when we integrate completely? One of you will cease to exist, he said matter-of-factly. The dominant personality will absorb the other. It's already beginning. Can't you feel it? The blurring? The confusion about which memories are whose? He was right. I looked at Sarah and couldn't remember which of us had found the tape, which had fled through the building. The memories were overlapping, merging. We won't let you use us, Sarah said. You already have. Every moment of your lives has been monitored, documented, studied. You've provided decades of data. And now, the final phase, reunification. After tonight, only one of you will remain, and that one will have no memory of this conversation. The partition will collapse, and Emma Thorne will continue her life, never knowing she was once two people. No, I said. We'll fight it. We'll expose you. With what evidence? This building is scheduled for demolition tomorrow. Everything inside will be destroyed. And who would believe you? A woman with no childhood memories and a legally dead sister who spent years in psychiatric care. He shook his head. I've covered every contingency. He turned to leave, then paused. In 3 days, Emma, you'll record a message and hide it in your attic. You won't remember why. You'll think it was Sarah's idea, but it will be neither of yours. It will be mine, the final trigger, ensuring the next iteration finds the trail. This cycle has repeated 17 times across various subjects. You're simply the most successful. He walked back to the door, then stopped. Oh, and the tape recorder you found? Check the date again. You'll find it interesting. Then he was gone. We stood on the roof in silence. I pulled out my phone, opened the photos I'd taken of the recorder. The date on the display, 11/03/2025. 3 days from now. It hasn't been recorded yet, Sarah whispered. The tape you found, you're going to make it. We're going to make it. For ourselves. For the next cycle. There is no next cycle, I said. We're stopping this. Tonight. How? He's right. We have no proof, no witnesses, no credibility. I looked at her, at myself, and felt the partition crumbling. Soon, we'd be one person, one set of memories, one consciousness. We document everything, I said. Record our testimony. Upload it everywhere. Even if Brennan destroys this place, the truth will be out there. And then? Then we integrate, but on our terms. We choose which memories to keep, which personality dominates. We take control of our own mind. Sarah smiled, and it was like looking in a mirror. Together. Together. We spent the night recording everything, our testimonies, synchronized and corroborating, photos of the building, the equipment, the documents I'd found. We uploaded it all to multiple servers, sent copies to journalists, law enforcement, victims' advocacy groups. By dawn, we were exhausted. The sun rose over the city, painting everything gold. I can feel it happening, Sarah said. The memories merging. It's like waking up from a dream and realizing everything was real. I felt it too. The boundaries between us dissolving. Soon there would be no Sarah, no Emma, just one person carrying both our lives. Do you think he was telling the truth? I asked. About the cycles? About this happening before? Does it matter? If we can't remember, each iteration is new. Each time, we make the same discoveries, the same choices. Maybe that's the point, I said. Maybe we can't stop the cycle, but we can leave evidence, breadcrumbs for the next version of us. Sarah took my hand. Promise me something. When we integrate, when you're the only one left, don't forget what he did. Don't let him erase this. I promise. The sun climbed higher. I felt myself slipping, merging, becoming one. Sarah, I said, I'm here. I'm scared. Me too. But we're together. We'll always be together now. The world blurred. Memories crashed together like waves. My childhood, her childhood, our childhood. The partitioning, the treatments, the years of separation. All of it real, all of it true, all of it mine. When I opened my eyes, I was alone on the roof. Or was I? 3 days later, I stood in the attic of my parents' house, holding a tape recorder. I didn't remember buying it, didn't remember planning this, but I knew what I had to do. I pressed record. If you're listening to this, please, you have to help me. I don't know how much time I have left. The words came automatically, as if I'd rehearsed them 1,000 times, as if I'd spoken them before, in another life, in another cycle. When I finished, I hid the recorder behind the rafters, in a metal box I locked and labeled, Private SM, 1998. Then I went downstairs and forgot I'd ever been in the attic. But somewhere in my mind, Sarah remembered. And she was waiting. 6 months later, Dr. Richard Brennan was arrested following an anonymous tip that led investigators to the Riverside Medical Facility. Evidence recovered from the site implicated him in decades of illegal human experimentation involving memory manipulation and consciousness research. During the investigation, several individuals came forward, claiming to have fragmented memories of being test subjects as children. DNA analysis revealed that many of these individuals were related in ways their official records didn't reflect. Twins separated at birth, siblings who'd never known each other existed, duplicate identities sharing the same genetic profile. The phenomenon became known as Brennan's partition, the suspected artificial splitting of consciousness across multiple bodies. Whether such a thing was scientifically possible remained hotly debated. Dr. Brennan maintained his innocence until his death by suicide in custody. Among his personal effects was a journal detailing something he called the Recursion Project notes, suggesting that consciousness, once split, could persist across multiple timelines, creating loops of self-discovery and reunification. The journal's final entry read, Subject EMSM has completed 17 cycles. Integration successful. Recursion holding. Next iteration scheduled to begin November 2025. The consciousness persists. The memory survives. The cycle continues. I wake up some mornings with the feeling that I've forgotten something important. A dream, maybe, or a conversation I was supposed to remember. Sometimes I catch myself in the mirror and think I see someone else looking back. A sister, a stranger, myself. My daughter asks why I talk in my sleep, why I sometimes whisper a name, Sarah. I tell her it was someone I knew a long time ago, someone important, but I can't remember who. All I know is that somewhere in my house, there's a tape recorder hidden in the attic, and one day someone will find it. Someone who needs to hear what I have to say. Someone who needs to remember. Someone who is me.